Hi, friends. This is Wendy Harrop, and welcome to the Say Yes to Yourself podcast. On the Say Yes to Yourself podcast, you'll hear stories from women just like us who are adding the practice of saying yes in their daily lives in big and small ways, and as a result, are experiencing the truth that everybody wins when you say yes to yourself. Saying yes to yourself is a graceful unfolding, an intentional becoming of the very best version of you. It is my hope that in these conversations, we are able to find our truth and be inspired and empowered to live our very best lives. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you, and I look forward to finding a bit of our own story in each other's. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that you're here, and I'm so happy to introduce you to my new friend, Dr. Ruffin. She is amazing. You know, when you meet somebody and you're in conversation with them and you almost have to keep reminding yourself that you just met them because they're totally your person and you love them so much and you don't really know why. I mean, I know why. She's really lovely. Oh my gosh. And she's just generous and brilliant, and her heart is just so aligned with what God would have her do, and how she can be of service and how she can make the world a better place in such a beautiful way that is very unique. I didn't mean to giggle. I just mean that it's so unique and so fabulous and so attainable for all of us to be in her universe that I'm really happy that I was introduced to her by our mutual friend Monique, and that you all get a chance to hear a little bit of her story. Dr. Naeemah Ruffin is changing the faces of women and men with her unique face fitness program. She is sought out by a variety of individuals who are looking for a natural and non-invasive approach to achieving a youthful facial appearance. Looking for her own natural and sustainable approach to a youthful facial appearance, Dr. Ruffin leveraged her medical education and surgical training to create a unique and effective face fitness program. Dr. Ruffin's program empowers women and men to defy their age by lifting and toning their facial muscles and creating healthy and glowing skin through her face exercises and natural and organic skincare line. Dr. Ruffin is the founder and CEO of Bellantz and a former assistant clinical professor at the Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City. She completed her surgical residency and chief residency training at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai and completed a mini fellowship in dermatopathology at Bako Diagnostics. Prior to Dr. Ruffin's medical education and training, she was a corporate executive for a Fortune 20 financial services corporation, in which she led one of their business lines. So, friends, we're going to put all of the links in the show notes to learn more about Dr. Ruffin's work, and she's so generous. She has shared a space where we can sign up for a complimentary consultation, and you're going to want to get in line right behind me on that. So without further ado, please enjoy this beautiful conversation with my new friend, Dr. Naeemah Ruffin. Dr. Ruffin, I am so happy to have you here. I'm just really excited about where this conversation is going to go. I'm excited about how I was introduced to you, and I'm just thrilled at the opportunity to introduce you to my listeners. And so I would love to just start this off with the way I start every conversation for the podcast, and that is, what ways are you saying yes to yourself in this season?
That is a great question. First, I want to say I am so pleased to be here with you, Wendy. It's an honor. So the ways that I am saying yes to myself, I'm in my 50s, started my business a few years ago, and that's probably the first time where I just said, you know what, I want to do what it is that I want to do, what I feel a passion for, and not what anyone else feels a passion for me. So this was more about just following that intuition that I've always had my entire life, but just for one reason or another, whether it was your parents want you to do this or whoever. Now I'm doing what it is that I want to do and that I love to do, and that I've always known that I love to do. So that's probably the first. The second is giving myself permission to make mistakes and be okay with it, and know that I can forgive myself for not having all the answers and not knowing where things are going to take me, but just like trusting God that he has everything under control, and that I'm just, in it for the ride. And I think that makes it really feel that much more special, to kind of sit back and see how my life unfolds, without trying to control, be in charge, move things this way, strive this way, just being at peace with the way things are going, even if they're not going my way, but just to know that, the grand weaver, God, has got everything, mixing everything. And I'm just literally on this journey. So those are two, I think, major ways I'm just saying, yes, it's okay to be me.
Oh my word. Okay. Well, that was just the shortest podcast we've ever recorded. That was so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Okay. I love those answers for so many reasons. Just the beautiful authenticity. Thank you so much. And you've just so succinctly communicated my own journey. So I appreciate how eloquently you said that, and just how beautiful, we were talking before I hit record, just about how the introductions and the places that we are finding ourselves in this season, we know are not by accident. And that, of course, it's always been that way, but now I personally am more aware of that. And so I just love everything that you said. I agree with you about there's something fabulous about being in your 50s, that if you are not too far past the point where you're just mad, but you've given yourself permission. I love that you've given yourself permission to make mistakes. That's beautiful, because that can take us out of the game so fast. Yeah. We just so often feel like, okay, I'm going to do this thing, and here I am, and I just got scammed by someone on Instagram. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Forget it. I can't have a business. I make terrible choices. We can just go down this rabbit hole if one thing isn't perfect and aligned and up-leveled and fabulous. And I love that you said that.
Yeah. Two things come to my mind about what you just said. I spent 16 years in corporate America, and it was rough 16 years. There were some great glory days. I learned a lot, but one of the things that I struggled with was that you weren't really allowed to make mistakes. And if you did, you were penalized for it, whether it was a demotion, whether it was moving you over here or there. There were things that were put in place to not allow you to really kind of be free and make those mistakes and recover from them and be okay afterwards. There was always afterwards, you may be over here, or, and so for me now, having my own business, I brought that same mindset into starting my business as you know, and I felt like I was pushing and driving just like I was in corporate America. Right. And I realized, like, you know what? I don't have to be like that. I can make mistakes and still be okay and learn from them and continue to move on and not have to worry about someone looking over my shoulder or reminding me, now remember you did that Instagram thing, you're not worthy. I don't have to have that anymore. And so I love being in my 50s because I can finally shed all of those sort of shackles and really take all of the good things that I learned and bring those forward, the things that are going to serve me going forward. And the other thing that, it brings to my mind is that I was recently, I was in this group and I was just feeling like, I don't know if this is a good fit. And, I was trying to stick it out and I was trying to stay. And I had a friend of mine who worked with me back when I was in corporate America. And she was like, why are you doing this to yourself? You don't have to do that. You can, you don't have anything to prove anymore. You've done that in your 20s. You did that in your 30s. You did that in your 40s. Now you can just be you and with all of that wisdom and knowledge and learning that you've gained, like, let that serve you and let that be a reminder that if you're in an environment that you don't think is serving this purpose, get out. You don't have to endure. You're not working for someone where you have to, I got to stay and like make this work. Like, you can move on. And I'm like, you're right. Like, I don't have anything to prove. Like, I worked in corporate America. I went back to school in my mid 30s to go back to school for medicine. Then I did a surgical residency. Like, what do I do? Like, I know who I am. I know what I've accomplished, and I should take that and let that serve my future, and not all of those things that we should leave behind. Like, leave them behind and then take those good things forward. So those are the two things that I'm like, absolutely.
Oh, it's so good. I love that. It's so important to have community and to have community with people that can speak the truth in love, but also use their words to actually speak the truth. Because I believe that we can curate the community that we desire. It's certainly something that I've been very intentional about in the past couple of years, just even coming out of the pandemic, like what I'm letting back in to my universe. It's very curated. So if you're in, please know it is not by accident and very intentional. And I implemented this mantra a few years ago that I am only available for what delights me.
Yes, I love that.
And it is a beautiful, gorgeous blanket.
Love it.
That helps me make all of my decisions.
Love it.
Thank you. Now, you mentioned that you were in corporate for 16 years, and then you were a second career doctor. Like, you went to med school in your late 30s. Is that correct? That's amazing. And then take us a little bit on that journey that got you to where you are now, because that's just a giant yes.
Yeah. Yes. Leaving corporate America was a giant yes. Oh my goodness. And, going back to school and studying something that just interests me, which was medicine and public health. But to fast forward and—
Can you actually rewind? How did you go from corporate, because you had a finance background, to medicine? How did you do that jump?
So that jump was based on a trip I took to Zambia in Africa for a couple of weeks. It was with my church. It was a missions trip. And I remember saying, like, I want to try something. I want to do something different, and I want to help. And I've never been to, the southern part of Africa. So I said, well, I don't have any medical, because it was like medical teams that were going from, and they were going from all over the world. They were meeting up there, from like Israel, from Nigeria, you name it. And so I was like, well, I don't have any medical skills, but I went with the prison ministry team. So we were going to visit the people that were in prison, like the women and the men. And so that was like That was, what I went for. However, while I was there, they were so short. The medical teams were so short in staff that they recruited people from all the other different areas, like the prison ministry team, the orphanage team, and so forth. And so I ended up helping like dentists and doctors, doing all kinds of things while I was there. And I just was like, wow, this is life. This is really what life is about. It's about helping people, and it's about being available there. And the experience that I had while I was there was life-changing, to say the least. And so when I came back to corporate America, I was like, how can I do this? This doesn't seem, I was like, I can't, I just didn't feel right. I'm going back into this nice, corporate environment that's away from the world. And like literally for, over a decade, I was in corporate America, I just sort of isolated from the rest of the world, like what really goes on. Like, my husband used to call it the ivory tower. Like you go in, I don't know what you do, and then you come out. And so I would work so many hours. I remember taking car service to work, car service home. It was just all consuming. But you can't go to like a third world country and then come back to that. Well, I mean, as I was told by some people, you can just, that's there. And this is now back to, and I said, I can't.
But you can't.
I couldn't. I couldn't just pretend like I didn't experience that and the impact that it actually had on me. So that's when I decided I wanted to go back to school. I didn't know if I wanted to do medicine or public health, so I just went back to school for both. I did like a dual degree. And
as one does.
So, and it led me to some wonderful places when I graduated, and ended up starting a clinic. It was a free clinic for the people in the area within the hospital I was working at. And then I ended up on the board of directors of another company that was helping children in, the East Harlem area. So it led me to some wonderful places, and it was very, very fulfilling. However, one of the big disappointments, I think, coming out of, medical school and being a doctor was that the mindset had changed significantly than, let's say, 50 years ago. Mm-hmm. So it was very corporatized. It was about how many patients can you see in 10 minutes and get everything like the intake, just triage, figuring out what the issue is, and then coming up with a plan and like within 10 minutes. And so it became more like corporate America. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I didn't go to school and spend all these years and then do residency to then be told by some little man in an insurance company, like, no, you can't get an MRI for this patient, or they can't afford these meds given. I was like, no, this is crazy. This is absolutely not why I went back to school. Like that wasn't the light that turned on when I was in Africa.
Right. So, and the beauty of doing that as now a 40-year-old woman who you're not a 25-year-old woman or a 29-year-old woman being told what to do and going, oh, I guess that's the way it is. Like you actually have agency and know things that you can use to make a decision.
Yeah. It's beautiful. This is not right. And, it's a system. You can't buck the system, And so, I was going along and I was getting older, and I looked in the mirror one day, and I was 48. I was 48 at the time. I looked in the mirror and I was like, what happened to you? Like, I just looked, the first thing that came to mind was, wow, I look old. Like I look so old. I look tired. I look not how I want to look, even though I wasn't tired when I, woke up that morning. I just looked like a lot had happened. And then it just made me start to think about, caring for myself more and focusing more on the fact that I am getting older and, what have I not been paying attention to? One of the things was my face. You do the quick, look in the mirror. Oh, let me do this. And you just go about, and like, are you really looking at yourself? Do you really see yourself and all that you've been through in life? And are we really, like for me, I was like, am I really seeing like how I look? And for that one moment, I was really looking in the mirror and I was like, wow. My eyes just looked so tired. My cheeks, everything just looked like it was just coming down, and then I just started thinking about, well, I eat right, I exercise, I have, good skincare habits. I have since I was, a preteen, so for me, I was more intrigued about what all of this meant. My mom passed a few years ago. She actually passed when I was in residency. So I didn't really know who, I could talk to, did this ever happen to you? Did you, and so I just started, with my medical background, I just started, let me just understand the facial aging process again. I know I studied this back, when, and so forth. And I just started looking at, different research that was done on face and oral and facial surgeons and so forth. And I just started to realize that, long story short, it's more than just the skincare. It's more than just the diet and the lifestyle. All those do matter, but a lot of it had to do with the facial muscles. I wasn't exercising my facial muscles.
I didn't know you could exercise your facial muscles. I smile. I understand that uses a lot of muscles.
Yes, it does.
Frowning, right?
Yes, good. That's a lot more than what most people know. But I was very intrigued because a lot of people are, oh, I just get Botox, I just get filler, I just do this, I just do that. And I was just like, you know what, I worked in medicine, I did plastic surgery rotations, I'm not doing that stuff. I'm all natural all the way. So I got to figure out what I want to do, to feel better about myself, to feel like I am, doing everything that I can do from a natural perspective. And that's where I stumbled upon the whole facial exercise and the research and learning more. And then long story short, I started testing out exercises on myself. I saw a difference in 3 months. I did not look tired. I completely reversed how I looked.
Wow.
And then I recruited a group of women to come to work with me for 4 months. I taught them different exercises for their face. And I tailored it because everyone had, I like this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And then when at the end of 4 months, and this was during the pandemic, we all got on Zoom and they were all just so excited about the changes they saw in their face. And then they started telling their friends, and then it just became more word of mouth. And then before I knew it, I had people that wanted to learn because they either did not want to do Botox anymore or, was looking for a solution, but didn't really know what to do. They thought really the only solution is the invasive, procedures. And so,
right. Or don't look in the mirror.
Yes, which probably was the problem. I wasn't looking in the mirror. I was just like, oh, wow. And then that one day I'm like,
right. Or ignorance is bliss.
Yes.
There are two ways to go about this.
Yes. That's a really good point. And so I had people that wanted to work with me, and I didn't have a business. So it really was birthed out of, okay, well, I should probably structure this and organize this and really put everything down. And then that's where I am today. And
that's amazing. So are you still practicing medicine at a hospital?
No, and in December, I think it was November was when I
Queen. Congratulations. That's amazing. So you have started this business, and how is this working? How do people work with you? You can't tell because I'm sitting in front of a window, which is probably why my desk is here, because I can't tell when I'm on Zoom. These wrinkles on my forehead, these little bags under my eyes, all the things. What do you do? How?
So
Help us. Help me.
So I started the business in 2020. But the research that I was doing was about a year and a half before. I work one-on-one with individuals. I typically don't do groups unless it's, something that like a group of people want to get interested in learning more about it and so forth, because I teach the exercises to get results. And the way that I get the best results is one-on-one. But I have done, team building events for organizations. I have done, where a group of women say like, we want to just get introduced to what it is and teach us some exercises. So I definitely do that. But that's the ones that are like, I want to get rid of this. I want to do this. I want to change this. I work one-on-one, 45-minute session. Either 6 weeks, 12 weeks, or 20 weeks. And it depends on exactly what you work on and how many areas you want to work on. But I customize the exercises for that particular person's face. And we track results every single week. Everyone has to take they call it the dreaded photos of their face to send to me, where I can see where you're making progress and what we need to change or adjust, from week to week. And then those who finish their either 6, 12, or 20-week course, then they can decide to just take because it's designed to give you a set of exercises that work for your face that you can practice forever. And so some go off and they just do their exercises forever. Some are more hesitant to do that, and they still like the discipline of meeting with me. So we'll meet, like, instead of every week, we'll do twice a month or once a month. And then they just sort of take it from there. But that's typically how I work with individuals. Yeah.
That's amazing. And now, how does this work? So first of all, there must be something that you discovered in your research. Otherwise, we would all know that we could be doing this ourselves instead of putting hundreds and hundreds of dollars in product on our face and not seeing results. So what did you find in your research that caused you to pursue this even more, enough to, start your own practice?
Yeah. So one of the things that I had come across is that one, aging well is multifactorial. So there's not one silver bullet. You have to do lots of different things, healthy things, like eating right and exercising and good skincare. But one of the things that and staying out of the sun, oh my gosh, that's like the major, like, get that face out of the sun, because you don't want the spots and the wrinkles. Like, the sun is the number one, ager of our faces.
Right. Nobody told me that when I was 14 years old in Palm Springs with my bottle of baby oil and
Vaseline, baby, putting all of that over, and I was a swimmer, so yeah, no one told me that either.
No. So if they did, I would not have listened.
That's true. That's absolutely true. But one of the things that I was missing in my whole regimen was exercising the face, because the facial muscles are directly linked to the skin. They're directly attached to the skin. Unlike, let's say, your muscles of your body. So I have my biceps, I can take my skin and move it over. They're not connected, but your face is, when I pull my skin out, my cheek, that's not just muscle, it's skin and muscle together. So gravity all throughout our lives is constantly pulling down on us. That force, it pulls down on our body, but also pulls down on our face. We counteract that gravity in our bodies by exercising.
Sure.
Like, get that lift, everything looks nice and, tighter, plumper. It's the same thing with the face. Like, if it's a muscle, you have muscles, they're also impacted by gravity. So what are you doing to counteract that gravity? If you're not doing anything, you cannot expect anything to change. So the skincare is great, and it may make the texture of the skin much better, but the muscles are not impacted by the skincare. products. You have to exercise those muscles. And it's beyond the traditional facial expressions that we have every day. Like you mentioned, smiling. Yeah, smiling uses muscles, frowning uses muscles. When we talk, we're using muscles, but you've got to exercise those muscles beyond just the, everyday use of it. Just like how I walk every day. That's great that you can walk every day, but you might need to do some leg lifts, or you might want to do some squats. You've got to take those muscles to the nth degree in order to really see progress and counteract that gravity. It's the same thing with the face. And so facial exercise is actually taking those muscles, contracting them to the nth degree so that, the maximum you can contract so that you can actually start to see the results. And because the muscles are attached to the skin, it takes the skin with it. So when the muscles start to get toned and tight, you start to see the skin, everything, the contours start to change, the cheeks. People say, oh my gosh, your cheeks are so great, like fillers. Like This is muscle. This is all muscle.
That's unbelievable. Your skin is stunning.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I also have a skincare line.
Good. So finish your thought and then tell us about that too. I want to know all the things, please.
Okay. So that's really the big part, is learning how to move the muscles to their max. It's learning how not to use the muscles incorrectly. So like, an example of that is if I'm like this, I'm like, I'm frowning and look at all of this. This is not really helpful, because the lines are going to stay, right? As you see, I'm like fanning them out. So there are ways that you can use facial expression muscles that get your point across without compromising the integrity of your skin. So instead of me frowning with all of that, I may look at you like I'm not happy. You can tell I'm not happy by just my eyes, right?
Right. I'm only going to make you pay for this. I'm not going to pay for this with more wrinkles. Okay?
Right. Exactly. So I don't need to involve the forehead at all. I can save my forehead for when I'm in my 60s, 70s, 80s. People think, oh my gosh, you must have Botox in your forehead because I don't see any wrinkles. No, I just don't move my forehead a lot because I don't need to. I'm saving this forehead. So, it's learning how to move the face muscles correctly. It's learning how to exercise them to the max, and all of that, and also how to prevent those bad habits from, causing more wrinkles and so forth. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it, I'm a breast cancer survivor. So I am thank you. Very aware of, the skin, and the skin is the largest organ of the body. It absorbs everything you put on it. And so making sure that you have products, for me, I wanted to make sure that the products that I use, I can absolutely trust, and every woman can trust. So I ended up starting my own line because I felt, hey, the skin and the muscles are so attached. Like I need some products that can actually complement, so that synergistically you're working on both layers, and they're both healthy. So that was a bit of a journey to find, a really good manufacturer that had the same values, and did not want to use chemicals, and so forth. So that's one of the things I'm proud of for my brand. We use botanicals, plant extracts, organic ingredients where we can, source the ingredients sustainably and ethically. So that's also a part of it as well.
That's amazing. Wow, congratulations. And you're such a achiever. As you've had like 4 careers and you have this, is there anything that you're working on? Do you feel like this is you're good for now, or are you, I feel like we're kind of the same person and that we're an idea factory. And as soon as someone says, okay, that idea is good, we're like, okay, it's as if it's already done and we're on to the next one. So are there more fabulous things that you're working on?
I would say not outside of what I'm doing. So right now it's just finding retail partners to introduce the line to their clients, customers, members, to just spread the word that you can age gracefully in the most natural way possible. That's really sort of where I am now.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Now, do people need to be in New York to work with you?
No, that's one of the great things about Zoom, is that you don't. So I have clients all over the country, and I just started a couple of clients from overseas as well. I started working with a couple of people from overseas. So we've gone international. So I'm excited about that. And a lot of it is through, there's just a network of people that want to just have the same values, in terms of aging. And aging is not a disease. It's not, something you've got to get rid of. It's something that we embrace and we become better at. It's just like the whole fine wine, no one says, oh, that's just too old of a wine. We can't, we've got to throw it out. No, they get better with time.
Right.
And so do we get better with time, and it's just removing the dross in our lives and just taking on all of the good stuff. I mean, it's like the rosebud, and it's packed with so many beautiful things that unfolds, and even the rose hip has got so much great stuff like bundled in, that. So it's looking to nature and seeing how nature just, it's over time, things get better and better. And, you don't stop and say, oh, it's a bud and let's leave it right where it is. We were buds when we were in our 20s, but we have to let ourselves just unfold so we can fully see the beauty. And that's really, that's what aging is about. And doing those things that will help accentuate the aging process. Like I tell, women, I don't promise everyone I work with, I don't promise you're going to look like you're 20. You don't want to look like you're 20. You want to look like the best, unbelievable version of yourself at whatever age you are. And that's what aging is really about. I don't want to go back to my 20s and my 30s. I love where I am now, and I look forward to where I'm going to be. And I love looking at, women who embrace their age and you just love them, you admire, you want to be like them. So that's my philosophy on that.
Oh, I love it. So I can love my life and love my face too.
Yes.
Hooray.
I just had a woman, one of my clients yesterday. She said, I've been working with her for 8 weeks, and she said, she sent me a picture of her face yesterday. She's beautiful. She sent me a picture. She's outside, she's snowshoeing, and she stopped to take a photo of herself and to send it to me. And she said the most sweet, wonderful thing. She's like, I took this photo of myself and I can actually say, I love my face. I was just like, you are so gorgeous and beautiful. And you just see her smile. She's just like, just so gorgeous. And so that's why I love doing what I do, because it's women who are in there who want to come out and blossom, but they just don't know about just exercise your face. They just don't know about that.
Sure.
How to do it correctly and how to do it correctly.
Right. And there's so much that we see when we look at another woman, and we see their beauty and their wisdom and their grace and all the badassness of every wonderful thing that they're doing. And sometimes it's hard to receive those accolades because, we can immediately say what we don't like about, and typically it's our appearance. But when you are doing something that the outcome changes your appearance to a way that you actually see just a fraction of what everyone else sees when they're around you, is that you're amazing and fabulous. It just feels so good. And we're allowed to feel good. We're allowed to feel beautiful. We're allowed to feel amazing and happy and satisfied and ecstatic, all of those things. And I just love that you are providing information and knowledge and practice that is really, it's really something that your client, they need to buy into because there's practice, but they did it. They did it themselves. You told them what to do, but they did that. And they get to keep that. It's information. Like, it's such a gift. And I'm really grateful that you're doing this. It's good work.
Thank you.
Of course. Oh my goodness. Okay. So tell everyone where they can find you, where they can get in line behind me for your next available slots, and anything else that you want our listeners to know.
So my website is bellantz.com. So BELLANTZ.com. And all you have to do is click schedule a complimentary consultation, and we'll take it from there.
How wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Ruffin. You're so generous. And I'm really excited to continue our conversations offline for all of our good ideas that we already have. But thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you.
My pleasure. Thank you, Wendy.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. As always, any links or notes mentioned can be found at phineaswrighthouse.com in the podcast section of our site, or in the show notes below. And if you haven't connected with me personally, come find me on Instagram at Phineas Wright House and let me know you listened to this episode. I'd love to get to know you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I know your days are full, and I'm really grateful that you chose to spend some of your precious time right here. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of these delightful conversations. I'll see you next week.